To top my previous films, I aim to use the highest quality technology I could get my hands on to capture as much detail on screen. I invited my friend, who is an expert in cinematography, to help us film with his access to our school's camera equipment. I provided a tripod to position the camera and stabilize all our shots while he provided the actual camera systems. We used a Nikon Z30, a Canon T8i, and a Canon Rebel T7 throughout filming due to their different specs and availability of each. We used the Nikon on the first days of filming with an extended battery to keep the camera rolling as long as we needed. The Canon Rebel captured wide-angle shots with its lens, while the T8i was used for every other shot because it was the most generally applicable. These cameras captured film at 4K 30 FPS for crisp shots that a regular smartphone camera could not capture, especially in low light situations. The larger sensor allows it to capture more light naturally, producing a sharper image compared to most smartphone cameras. But to get these cameras to capture each scene, I had to apply some lighting. For brighter scenes, we mainly utilized the lamp light and LED strip lights to warmly light the set, matching the innocent warm tone of a child's bedroom. Initially, for darker scenes, we try to utilize more of the glow of the TV, flashlights, and some LED lamps to let the room be dark while still having enough light to capture my actors on screen. This ended up being a difficult task as hiding the lights and naturally blending them into the environment took much effort and lots of time which could be dedicated to recording. To remedy this, we instead moved to a single overhead fan light to simplify this process, cutting down on much of the time we needed for setting up shots. This light, even on its lowest setting, was still brighter than necessary, but allowed us to capture far more detail in the characters and within the scene since our cameras got more light exposure. For audio, I initially planned on using clip-on microphones to record audio in the scene. However, I ran into complications with them. They would often rub or be covered by the actor's clothing, would be too low down to pick up audio, or would be too visible on camera.
Oracle. What are we looking at?
These microphones also required me to record on my iPhone and extract the audio from these videos since the receiver could only be plugged into an iPhone's lightning port. I decided to include the audio in post so that the voice lines would come out clearer to reduce complications on set and to make voice recording more flexible for my actors since recordings could be completed from home. Both actors featured in the film used recordings on their iPhones, Calvin an iPhone 13 and Avery an iPhone 12. I used the attached microphone on my Corsair HS65 gaming headset for my lines, offering clear, distortionless recording. The combination of this hardware captured the raw grittiness of Null Cipher in the highest fidelity possible, only needing refinement in post-production. The backbone of this entire project is my editing program, CapCut. This software was easy to use, and I approached this project with dozens of hours of experience with it in the past. However, I still learned new techniques to perfect the look and feel of Null Cipher. For the credits, I applied the Player 3 special effect to the text, allowing me to rotate it on a vertical axis to integrate the text better into the environment. This created an effect that made the text look like it was stuck to the walls instead of just appearing on screen, making the shots more dynamic. Alongside this tech was the usage of chroma keying and background removal tools. CapCut's built-in background removal tool allowed me to cut out my characters without painstakingly cutting them out frame by frame. These cutouts could then be placed in lines higher than the text in the scene, allowing the actors to interact with the text as if they were part of the scene itself and making the credits stand out more. A crucial aspect of editing too was making adjustments for color grading. In the initial bright scenes, I made sure to bring out the warmer tones of the light and lower the exposure, adding a calmer, more comfortable feeling to the room, contrasting with the tragedy that had taken place. Once the lights were off, I decreased the saturation, increased the blacks, and lowered the exposure along with other edits to the highlights and brightness to darken the scene and mimic a low light situation. These changes in the shot's presentation drastically shifted the mood of each scene and helped me make the raw footage more cinematic and professional looking. While not new to me, keyframing was by far the most important edit I made to any scene of the film. Keyframes allow effects to happen over a period of time with a gradual curve. This could include slowly lowering the volume, making elements larger over time, or zoom into shots at controlled speeds. This tool was most effective in changing the volumes of sound effects, as the timing in an entirely dubbed fight scene was paramount if I wanted it to sound grounded and immersive. This software allowed me to cut, splice, dub, and transform my footage into a fully fledged film. This project began with finding inspiration online with my favorite characters of different franchises and IPs, using Google to find images of characters from DC Comics, Call of Duty, and Blade Runner. To collect resources to add and edit into my movie, I use various sources of online technology. For the majority of my sound effects, I used a website called Pixabay, a free website that has millions of different effects posted by users. It was easy to use and download MP3 files that I could then integrate and modify in my editing software. I also use other sites such as My Instance, Soundstripe, and SoundImage to find various slams, booms, and bangs. For websites that made it difficult to download or in situations where I could not find the right sound file, I instead opted to screen record a video of the sound itself on pages like YouTube, or just the sound effects on some websites like I previously listed. Towards the end of editing, I learned about a website that could convert audio of YouTube videos into MP3s, like Y2Mate, making the entire collection process much easier. Additionally, I found a pack of free sound effects by Tony Jacks for the fight scene, which included various swooshes and thuds I could fill in for punches. While few, I found visual effects I could also integrate into my film for SF0451's shock scene. I found a free pack from CG Visual Effects which contained smoke and spark effects and used it alongside a screen recorded of a lightning effect kicked off the fight scene. As mentioned in the previous video, I also used websites Home by Me and Pose My Art in the pre-production stage to create a dynamic storyboard that included my desired camera angles, poses of the actors, and an accurate recreation of the set. This made the filming process a lot smoother with active reference my team could go off of during production, giving them a better understanding of the vision I had for each scene. Other online tools were used to create different elements in this project as well. My cameraman, who helped me create the poster of this film, utilized a free photo editing website called Pixlr that provided the main title font along with other tools to add text and different digital effects. I used a background removal tool from Adobe Express to cut out the dummies from the background and Pose My Art as well. To record my voice lines, I used an online voice recorder from 123 Apps free of charge. I'm even using it for the voiceover you hear now. This is by far the most intensive application of technology I've used in a project and worked perfectly to make Null Cipher my masterpiece.